Come now, High Lord Lightstone. You know this is the best way forward for both of us. Before any of the Lightstones could reply, Nathan's voice cut through the room. Finally, he had chosen his moment to intervene. Hold it all right there. Everyone's eyes fell on the young Nathan Hayfield as he casually approached the head table in the hall. Nathan smirked at Rodric as he came before him and spoke with an air of absolute confidence. Why ask the good Lord Lightstone's permission to face me when you can ask me yourself? After all, I am more than willing to face you right here, right now. Rodric sneered as he refused to face Nathan. What difference does it make if I have your permission or not? Your family is nothing without the protection Lucius grants you here. I'm happy to release the Lightstones of their host responsibilities, if that's your issue. Besides, I'm quite curious. I'd love for you to show me the hundreds of different ways one might wipe me off the face of the planet. In fact, I'm sure the Doom faction might also like to know what you mean by that exactly. Immediately, Rodric's face stiffened at the mention of the Doom faction. Although the kingdom of Calandria was run by its king and the dukes that swore allegiance to him, they only clung to that power through the goodwill of the Doom faction, which bestowed upon them the right to rule. Should word of unforgivable crimes of treachery, perhaps regarding a duke or his family, reach the ears of the Doom faction, it would only be a matter of time before the entire fiefdom was punished, for even Duke Godricson, with all his power, served many masters. Nathan smiled at Rodric's expression. It was then that Hagar Haroldson stepped out of the line of guests and came towards Nathan's side. His tone was filled with contempt for the Duke's grandson as he spoke. Yes, perhaps you'd care to elaborate further, Rodric. If some unknown hardship were to befall House Hayfield, I'd be happy to share what I learn about it with the proper Doom faction authorities, wouldn't you? Rodric grimaced at the cocky look on Hagar's face. Mentally, he was moving the boy up his future kill list. Don't concern yourself with Godric's land matters, Hagar. It's best if you don't meddle in my family's territory. Otherwise, I might be tempted to meddle in yours. Besides, what have you been drinking? Can't you see this puny little Hayfield clan is on the brink of extinction? Why buy a ticket aboard a sinking ship? Perhaps the ship is not sinking, Rodric. Perhaps instead it's preparing to ram you. Rodric frowned, and his puzzled expression reflected much of the crowd. Nobody understood why Hagar would go out of his way to make an enemy out of Duke Godricson's house, especially when the house he sided with instead was as weak as House Hayfield seemed to be. It just didn't make any sense to them. Preposterous! You've gone mad, Hagar! There's no point in bickering with you any longer. I'm done here. I'm looking forward to House Hayfield's duel with the Ravens. Perhaps then you'll listen to reason. As Rodric stood and prepared to leave with his guards, Nathan blocked his path out. I don't think so. Since young Master Rodric has insulted my family and threatened the safety of my house, I cannot simply let him leave. You impudent knave! You're little more than a fluffed-up peasant boy. Get out of my way at once! Hagar shook his head as he stood next to Nathan. I, too, have witnessed the insults heaped upon House Hayfield's name by the young master here, and although many here may cower in fear of you, I will not ignore your actions on this day. Even if House Hayfield falls, I promise you that the Doom faction shall hear of this evening. Nathan smiled at Hagar's powerful words. Although the Lightstones had refused to take part in any treachery, they'd been far too fearful to directly stand against Duke Godricson's grandson. Yet here was a teenager that stood at his side, prepared to die for him, even though, just that morning, he had nearly killed him. Nathan knew that, moving forward, he would forever hold Hagar in high regard as an honorable man, and someone to keep close by his side. At the same time, Hagar smiled back at Nathan and also helped to block Rodric's path. Hagar had faced a fraction of Nathan's true strength, so he absolutely believed in Nathan's abilities and wasn't at all afraid of Rodric's threats. As long as Nathan had time to continue his training, even Duke Godricson himself would one day be unable to defeat him. It was worth it for Hagar to stand strong beside his new friend because his value was immediately apparent. Unlike the crowd of slack-jawed guests around them, Hagar had a clear vision of Nathan's future and wished to be a part of it. Ultimately, though, Hagar stood beside his new friend for moral reasons. He wished to rule over a fiefdom one day with honor, and deeply despised the dark schemes and tricks that Rodric and House Raven employed. He would do whatever he could to aid Nathan in their downfall. Rodric scowled at Hagar and ignored Nathan as he motioned for his guards to draw their weapons. Each guard drew up a halberd that had been slung across their shoulders.
Hagar Haroldson, I demand you shut your mouth and step aside at once. Do you really think I'm afraid of you? You'd better think again.
The dim, glowing light of near dawn peeked through the window curtains and spilled into the great hall, casting wild shadows across the room. Rodric's face grew beet red as he stepped out of a shadow and snarled at the two teens in his way. His guards brandished the points of their halberds, which glistened in the light, ready to thrust at a moment's notice.
I said, back off, Hagar. You're lucky we're in public. Otherwise, you'd already be on the ground. Cease pestering me at once, or I'll teach you a lesson in humility along with your lowly friend here.
Rodric knew his strength was higher than Hagar Haroldson, and he doubted the Hayfield boy could handle even one of his guards. As Hagar simply shook his head, Rodric gritted his teeth and reached for his sword.
So be it.
Before Nathan or any of the other young nobles could react, an older voice boomed through the halls. The echoes of the voice blew through the space like a mighty gust of wind.
No, this old man would like to hear more of what's being said.
The source of the stern voice appeared by the main hall door. This time, before the trumpeter could announce the man's presence, Deputy Officer Cain strode into the room. Despite the fact that he had ridden through the night, Cain looked nearly as calm and collected as ever. He swiftly tucked the sole unruly hair back into place on his head as he approached the noble youth's standoff. Perhaps a lesson in humility must indeed be taught. However, it may be me who needs to teach it. As Cain approached, Rodric saw the stern look on the man's face, and his heart sank. He knew that he was in deep trouble, and his mind raced to find a way out of public embarrassment. Quickly, Rodric tried to form a story as his bodyguards lowered their weapons.
Deputy Cain, so good to see you again. My grandfather sends his kindest regards. I was just dealing with a few rabble-rousers who sought to ruin the High Lord Lightstone's party. Now that you're here, I can finish off the matter at a later date.
Whoa there. Not so fast. Do you think I was born yesterday? I'm a Doom faction officer, kid, not one of your grandfather's old chessmates. I heard everything, including your illegal proposition to the Lightstones. As Rodric's face paled, Nathan couldn't help but grin with delight. Despite Cain's stern demeanor, he managed to slyly wink in Nathan's direction while the others weren't looking. Rodric plastered on a fake smile and continued with his efforts to weasel his way out of the situation.
Well, you see, that was merely a joke, sir. A jest in poor taste, but a jest nonetheless.
Oh, is that it then? So telling the Lightstones that there were hundreds of different ways to wipe out House Hayfield was a joke then? I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but you're not very funny.
You're right, sir. I'm not funny at all.
So tell me then, with this jest of yours, What ways are there exactly?
I'm sorry, Deputy Cain. What do you mean?
Perhaps I've been ill-informed. You said 100 different ways. So what are the many different methods you would have the Lightstones use to smite them exactly?
It was merely a jest.
Rodric coughed as hundreds of eyes bore into him. Now that the deputy had arrived, the crowd no longer feared Rodric's retribution and openly mocked him with their looks and whispers.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.